right, everybody, what's happening? Welcome to Earth Science. Thanks for joining me. You're getting closer. The end of the year is upon us. Let's flash back to wintertime. I'm going to throw kind of a strange question at you. Let's flash back to wintertime and pretend that this terrible Microsoft Paint drawing I've done is the following two things. These lines going up and down are snowmobile tracks in fresh snow, and these little circles right here, or ellipses, whatever they may be, are snowshoe tracks going in a different direction. If we were to look at this, there's basically three events. Two different snowmobiles went by and a snowshoer went by. Could you be clever enough to be a detective to put those events in order? By looking at these clues, even though you weren't here to watch these things happen, are there clues within this that would let you figure out the order that those three different events took place in? And while this might not sound like geology, it's kind of fundamental to the process that we've been working on. And the question you really should ask your science teachers and all your teachers all the time, how do we know this? When you've been working on this big, scary reference table here, and if you haven't, you got to go back and do that stuff first. This big one that's like on 2 pages, the ones I've given you have been attached to each other. But if you've been working with this big thing, how do we know this? How do we know what's going on in Earth's history? Well, we've got a couple of different techniques we've used, and that's what we're going to figure out here. And that's where this makes sense. You weren't here to see these three events. We humans weren't here to see rock layers being laid down in the Devonian period. But we've been able to look at those rocks, decipher clues, and put things in order. What order must this have taken place in? And that's called relative dating or relative aging. So in this case, what do you think? I'd say that this, let's write them on there. What the heck? We're doing notes, right? I'd say that this snowmobile went by first. Then I'd say snowshoe went by second. I'd say this snowmobile went by third, because this had to be there in order for these snowshoes to land on top of it. And kind of the same idea over here. Those snowshoes had to be there in order for this to go by it. Why do this guy's snowshoes change shape every step he takes? That's a mystery. How about again? Could you do it here? Now, this one has the duck prints on there that aren't attached, which I've always thought is kind of a distractor. I really like this graphic. I've always used it, except for the duck prints. We can't tell. The duck print doesn't intersect with anything else. We don't know if that was first, last, somewhere in between, or what. So what happened? We've got like a deer, a dog, a bird, a bear, a human. What steps took place? And it does look like the human was eaten by a bear. But I'd say then the bird walked by after that because it steps through that stuff. And maybe the deer is the oldest? What do you think? These are the kind of things we're going to do, even if we don't get to a specific answer on this one. These are the kind of things that we're going to do when it comes to geologic cross sections. So when you step up, this is a very straightforward, simple one. You've got a whole bunch of sedimentary layers and really nothing else going on. Through some of the techniques that we'll learn, we're going to see that, okay, the older rocks must be on the bottom, and they get progressively younger and younger and younger as they go. What about situations where it's a little bit messier? I've got some rock here, and if I blow this way up, I've got something else happening there. There's a different kind of rock that cuts across that, and I've got some cracks in the rock, some faults. Could we figure out the order of events that all of this must have happened in? Okay, and by doing that, we can kind of unravel Earth's history, and that's what relative aging is. Now, we're going to do a totally separate set of work for absolute aging, because, well, today's question is, okay, Ordovician stuff happened, then Silurian stuff happened, then Devonian stuff happened. That's like putting it in order. These numbers are by a totally different process. So don't worry about the numbers for today. Today's really just older or younger. So the example I always use is like, I'm older than you if you're watching this video, likely older than you if you're in my class. And not watching this for some reason if you're not in my class. Why torture yourself? So I'm older than you. That's a relative age. If I told you exactly what my age is, 42, I think, and you said exactly what your age is, that's an absolute. And again, we're going to do that another time. Right now, it's just I'm older, you're younger. Put these things in order, like order of events. Okay? Just like this. This guy went by first. This guy went by second. This guy went by third. Doesn't tell us what time those things happened. It's just telling us an order that they took place in. Okay? So that's what it's going to be. I think what I'm going to do, because there's a bunch of like little rules we're going to learn. Each of these bullets is another rule. Individually, none of them are very difficult, but they'll pile up. So I think I'm going to do them all as separate videos. Just I think the multiple short videos has gone better than the big long videos this year. And then we'll practice some of these diagrams. Now these crazy looking diagrams are meant to be like, okay, if you walked up to a section of rock, this is towards the top, if I remember right, of Cascade Mountain in the Adirondacks. If you walk up to that, or you go to like a road cut where the road has been cut through, like they blast out some rock, and you see these big cuts. Can you look at that rock and figure out what's going on? These are like idealized drawings of those, usually more complicated than they are in real life. This is a mess. This is going to be a little tricky to figure out. But with an accumulation of all these short techniques, you guys will get there. You folks will get there. You'll do a great job. So yeah, that's the job. I appreciate you sticking through this, and check the survival guide. We'll go through all these things bit by bit. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys soon.